Hi, I'm Kelly,
I'm Allison.
I'm Leah.
And I'm Kristin.
and this is Fear and Wine. Hello, welcome to Fear and Wine. We are a podcast about horror TV shows, movies, and more. We are covering Them Season 2 right now. It is called The Scare. So today we're on episode 2. And it's titled The Devil Himself Visited This Place. So we are still continuing with our 90s themed questions because this season does take place in the 90s and we are 90s kids. We love the 90s. That was our era. So we're going to do some more fun 90s questions. Today's question is, what was your favorite, or is, it could still be, your favorite 90s music? So favorite artist and band and favorite 90s song.
Lots to choose from.
Mm-hmm. Had some great music in the 90s.
So much good music. Does anybody
The
want to go
best, and
first?
the music from this series is just so good. It's, like,
It's
all
really
my
good.
favorites, I swear. I'm
Is it
happy to go
really?
first. I still
Okay, go ahead.
constantly listen to 90s music, so it's kind of, I'm stuck in the 90s, I guess. But probably my favorite artist would be if I had to pick, like, a band or an artist, it would probably be
Mhm.
A Tribe Called Quest. They
Good one.
had so many epic songs in the 90s that were featured in films that I love. They were in Boomerang, just so many different things. And then as far as songs go, it would definitely be Passing Me By The Far Side. Do any of you
Oh,
guys know that
yeah.
one?
Mm-hmm.
I'd have to maybe hear it.
I won't sing it because I'll
That's okay.
embarrass myself, but I'll send it to you later. It's by
Okay.
The Far Side, and it's I guess I've always been kind of into alternative hip hop, sort of. I don't know, more underground stuff with bands. And this one in particular, my best friend of all times and we could still sing it word for word. So it has so many great memories attached to it that I feel like that's why I picked it. So
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a good
that's
one. Yeah,
me.
90s had great
Awesome.
hip-hop and R&B
Hmm.
music, yeah.
Oh, for real, yeah.
Yes.
I'm actually glad Kristen's, doing this season with me because there's so much music in the show. I'm like, "Kristen knows the song." I don't know what the song is, but I've heard it. I know Kristen's gonna know the name of it. Of course, like, when I did that first episode, the only song I was like, "Oh, that's from Peter Pan," so I knew that one. Like, I knew the musical.
The full one, yeah.
But then there was all this other great music in the background. I was like, "I wanna reference it," but I was like, "I have no idea what it's
Yeah.
called."
I
So,
wonder if
yeah.
there's a playlist out there, like, on Spotify or something with,
I
like,
wonder, yeah.
the music from this
Yeah, for
show.
sure.
Oh,
Every
Yeah.
show has it.
Oh,
I
yeah.
even went and looked them up from, what was the show with Issa Rae on HBO?
Insecure?
Insecure.
Yes, yes, somebody put together a playlist of every song from that series, and it is
Oh,
so
awesome.
good. So,
That's
yeah.
cool.
Oh, that's a
Did they
new
put
one.
her rap on there? Didn't she rap in one
She
of
did
the
a few
No.
raps. Hers are
Yeah.
always silly.
Oh, well, I was just gonna say this one, I mean, I'm surprised Kristen even could pin down because she is so into music,
I
especially 90s
struggled.
music. I
I
figured you would
struggled.
because I did,
Mhm.
and I'm not even you know, I don't know. There was, of course, a period of time where I was a big NSYNC girl because boy bands were on the rise. Like, when I
Mhm.
was in high school, when I was a freshman, so there were a few years where they really kinda took over my life, but,
You're in sync
um,
over Backstreet Boys?
I mean, I liked them both, but NSYNC really kind of
That
pulled a little bit
that's my
ahead for
girl. Me
me.
too. Me too.
NSYNC was just better, I'm
They
sorry.
were.
I
I
know.
love them. My friend and I were so obsessed with them. It was just, like, ridiculous, but
Aw.
I'll chalk that up to being
I'm a New
we
Kids
were
on the
like
Block girl showing my age, so
no, no,
I
no, I
never.
liked them too. I liked them too. I was
Oh,
into the
oh,
boy
okay.
bands. But
Alright.
yeah, like we were talking about before, how there's so many movies and shows to choose from out there that it's, like, overwhelming. I feel kind of like when I was younger in the 90s, I watched a lot of MTV, and I feel like it gave me a big mix of genres to kinda be into. Like, there wasn't one specific genre of music that I really liked over any of the others. Like, I
Mhm.
would go from, like, watching a rock music video to watching a rap music video to watching the Spice Girls or what have you, and so it was made it extra hard, I feel like, for me to try to pinpoint a favorite because I feel like I just liked a little bit of everything.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
R&B, you're right, Kelly, was really good in the 90s.
Mhm.
I mean, like, Keith Sweat, stuff like that, I loved. But yeah, I don't know. I like a little bit of
Well,
everything.
everything you
I
couldn't
don't
pin
even
one down?
No, I couldn't pin one down. As
That's
soon as
okay.
I thought of one, like, "Oh, this'll be my answer," I was like, "No, no, no, it'll have to be this one." So,
It's
yeah,
okay.
just
I had to
It's
just
yeah.
pick
alright.
one and look away 'cause
Yeah.
I would've spiraled.
I feel
Mhm.
like I'm in the same boat as Julia. There's
Yeah.
just a bunch of different genres and everything, like NSYNC over Backstreet Boys. I personally was Christina over Britney. I just think vocally she was
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
And that might also be Living with Kelly because you had Christina on
Mhm.
repeat. But I think my favorite was Mariah Carey, and here's a reason.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
And her my favorite song of hers is "Vision of Love," and it's because I watched Kelly do karaoke one night, and she did that song, never knew of it, and Kelly
Oh.
sang, and I was like, "Oh, wow, I really you must have just
Oh,
did a really good job at it," and I was like,
Oh,
"I really
alright.
like this
So cute.
song."
That is so
And it's
cute.
just stuck
oh,
with
this
me
is
ever since,
precious.
and I was like, "I love this song."
Now, like, remember when, like, she sang, like, "Always Be My Baby" and stuff? I had
Mhm.
that on a cassette tape, and my friend and I used to play that in her little boombox out in her front yard so loud, and we would just play it on repeat over and over. So
Aw.
Mariah definitely had a moment
Oh, yeah,
in the
that's like those
90s.
are good ones. I forgot about 90s Mariah. Yeah. Those are
Yeah.
really
Mhm.
good.
Me too. Mhm.
Yeah. My favorite so I did have I would say a group in the 90s that I did play all the time, and they kinda stayed in the 90s, so it works out, but my favorite 90s artist is Escape. I lo
Oh,
I
Love.
love them, and my Escape songs were "Who Can I Run To?"
Mm.
"Let Me Know," and "The Arms of the One Who Loves You." Like, those were I listened to Escape
mhm.
all the time in the 90s, but if I had to pick a single favorite 90s song, this is you guys are gonna laugh, it was probably Charles and Eddie, "Would I Lie to You?"
Do I
I
know
I
love that
I
song.
think they only ever had I don't know if they did anything else, but
Me
I
either. Have it on a
I
playlist.
have no
I
idea.
don't
I
even know
know
if I know it.
it's the,
Oh,
"Look
it's a
into
jam.
my eyes, can't just see they're open wide,
Okay,
look
okay,
what I
Oh, okay, yeah,
can
yeah, yeah,
okay.
do."
yeah.
That
I'm
one,
dancing
yeah.
over here, yeah, okay.
That's a jam.
I know
Mhm.
Yeah,
that
so
one.
good. That's the only thing I never heard of Charles and Eddie before or after. That's
Me
all I
neither.
know
Me
is that
neither.
song.
Yeah, I
But
think you're
yeah,
right.
I would sing it over and over. Like, I have it, like, on a few of my playlists, and I'll just keep playing. I was like, "Oh,
Mhm.
yeah," when that
Puts you
song
in a
comes
good
on.
mood for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love it.
There's so many
Excellent
good
choices.
Mhm.
90s songs. I can literally like, I can think of some that feel, like, indicative of the 90s, like, okay, Whitney Houston, you know her song from The Bodyguard, what's it called?
"I Will Always Love You," yeah.
Yes, I Will Always Love You. Like,
Mhm.
that to me,
Mhm.
like, totally screams 90s to me, and it's
Mhm.
still
See,
fun to
was
sing.
so but when did that come out, though? See, to me, that was so early 90.
That was
I
late '90s, I thought, wasn't
Is
it?
it? I
Maybe it
don't
Was
was
it?
know.
wait, hang
The
on, let's
Bodyguard?
Google 'cause,
Let's look.
I
maybe it
swear
was
I
mid.
saw it when I was in high school, which would be prior to 1994. It is from '92. Yeah,
Oh,
it's
it's
early
Okay.
92,
90s.
okay.
Okay.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
yeah, and see, and that's another thing, like, some of the songs I was trying to look up, I remember when you used to have to record off of the radio
Mhm.
onto a cassette tape,
Yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
and you would have to wait for that song to come on, and you'd have to hit record at the exact right moment. Sometimes you'd even have to flip the tape over really quickly if you got to the end of it, but,
Mhm.
like, the Fugees, when they covered "Killing Me Softly," that's
Mm.
Oh,
one and
so good.
Yeah.
that I listened to so many times. I
Mhm.
still love that song so much, but then there was
Same.
also,
Mhm.
No Doubt, some of their music I loved, and when I looked it up, I was
Alanis.
like yeah, Alanis was
Mhm. Oh,
Mhm,
great.
early
mhm.
Alanis is great.
Yes,
Yeah.
Kelly had that on
That
loop
one
too.
album.
Mhm.
Mm.
But, like, the same I looked it up and I was like, "How was I only 12 listening?" I mean,
Right?
I thought for sure I was older listening to that, but
Mhm.
maybe not, maybe not. It's
And
kind of a
Yeah.
blur.
Leah just made an excellent point that so remember back in the '90s, late '80s and '90s, mixtapes were like the thing you gave people you liked. You had
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
really like someone because the commitment that went into making a mixtape because you had to do it off the radio. If you didn't
Yes.
already have all like you that meant you really cared about someone if you made them a mixtape. Like
You're
that
right,
was
because
you might as well
then
give them
we
an engagement ring. Like that was so much work that went into making someone a mixtape.
that was the best, and because eventually you got into, like, burning CDs, which was still a
Mhm.
little work, but significantly easier.
Yeah, but
But
before the CDs, when you actually and I remember that, just, like, laying on my bed with the radio, just
mhm,
waiting to hit record. I'm like, "At
mhm.
some point, they're gonna play the song. At some point, they're gonna play it."
Oh, man, or they'd have, like, special guests. They'd have, like, some of the guys from NSYNC come in, and they'd help host, like, a countdown, and I'd record that too, and, like, it
Mhm.
was crazy. Oh, it was crazy. My
So
priorities
funny.
were way different back then.
Yep.
I feel like we were doing that too, but it was for ringtones. You would record it and just wait for your favorite part of the song,
Oh,
record it, and
yeah.
then it would be your ringtone, like, in the early 2000s.
Oh,
Or your
okay.
voicemail, the
Yeah.
voicemail
Oh, the
recording, yeah.
outgoing voicemail? For sure, for sure. We would
I
do
never
that,
did
for
the fun
sure.
ringtones and voicemail. I
Oh,
mean
yeah.
No?
yeah.
Oh my
Aw.
gosh. So when I was I think I was probably a sophomore, maybe a freshman. I don't know. My mom got me my own phone line because she was tired of me taking up her phone line all the
Mhm.
time. So I had my own phone line in my room and I had an answering machine. And so my friends and I made that outgoing message and we wrote our own rap song, but in the voice of one of our like teachers who was a nun. It was so stupid and ridiculous, but I kept it for like 2 years as my outgoing message. So
That's very
anyway,
funny.
good times.
That's
Good
Good
amazing.
times.
times.
Aren't you guys loving
Are
all
we
the
ready
90s
to
questions?
Oh,
Yes. It's
oh,
really
yeah.
bringing me
Yeah.
back.
Alright,
I could
sorry,
talk about the
Kristen.
'90s all day. No, I was just gonna say, are you guys ready? But if we wanna talk
Yeah.
about more '90s
Oh,
first, we
no, we're
can.
ready. I just
Definitely.
Fine.
listen,
Okay.
we have 10 episodes to do. There might be more 90s questions. Just bear with us, people.
For
Yeah.
sure,
Yeah.
for
Oh,
sure.
I know.
And,
What?
Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
I was just gonna say one thing that because Kelly brought up Escape. Candy Burst's son is in the first episode of the show we are talking about right now.
Yes, he is. Mhm.
Oh, that's
I
a
noticed
fun
his
Wow.
He is
crossover.
the
I
son of the girl that works with Ed or was at
Oh,
the
no
audition with
way.
Edmund. Yeah.
That's a fun little
yeah,
Oh,
the receptionist when she brought her son to
okay.
the place. I was
Mhm.
like, "Gosh, I is that Ace?" Like, I
It's
looked at him, I was
Ace,
like, "Why do
yeah.
I know this kid? I know
So
this
there
kid."
is a
Oh, that's
90s
funny.
tie-in.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
because Candy
I
from
kinda love that.
Housewives was
From Real
in Escape.
Housewives. Yep.
Right.
Mhm.
Mhm. Yep.
That's awesome.
That is
I
so
like that.
funny. I actually just watched this really horrible, but, to me, really interesting show on, called Next Gen NYC, and
Yes,
her
great
Amazing,
show.
daughter's on it.
amazing.
So oh, you
Mhm.
watched it too?
Oh,
Oh,
It's on
yeah.
okay.
Bravo. Of course we watch it.
Okay, sorry. I'm in good
What
company.
a silly question.
Sign of the Times Cabernet Blend by Origin Swift Cellars is our wine pairing for this episode. This red wine is a blend of Cabernet Sauvignon, Petit Syrah, and Grenache. It is a full-bodied wine with notes of graphite, dark chocolate, black plum, black currants, and leather, with flavors of blue fruits, licorice, sweet oak, and cassis. Sign of the Times pairs well with beef, lamb, hard cheeses, and a horror TV show based in the 90s. Enjoy! For more information about us and all of the wines that we feature, visit our website at fearandwine.com. And make sure you follow Fear and Wine wherever you listen to podcasts so that you don't miss a new episode. And if you like us, please leave us a 5-star rating and review. Thanks.
All right, so episode 2 is titled "The Devil Himself Visited This Place."
Well, that can't be good.
Yeah. The episode opens with the coroner's unsettling report on Bernice Mott. Her body is found with 25 separate fractures, so many that the coroner actually compares it to like being hit by a train or crushed in a trash compactor.
Oh,
He said he's never
wow.
seen, yeah, anything like this when someone was when this wasn't the case. We learned that she was actually alive for part of it, and the first thing that was cut were her vocal cords were snapped so that she couldn't scream out and alert the kids in the house, but she was alive during most of these cracks and breaks and tears of her body.
Oh my gosh, that's
Oh.
really messed up. Wow.
Yeah. So, but despite the sheer brutality, McKinney, that detective that's with Dawn, sticks to his line that Malcolm, that older foster teen, he has to be responsible, keeps trying to connect him in all these silly ways. But Dawn thinks that they need to investigate the DCF calls that were made from Mott's house. McKinney decides to tell Dawn at this moment that his first girlfriend was black. It was like one of those I have a black friend moments, but he took it up
Yeah.
a notch because he could tell that she thought that he was being kind of racist with his line of reasoning, but he
Mhm.
decides to tell her that his first girlfriend was black. It was just so weird.
Because, by the
Um,
way, McKenny sorry to interrupt, but McKenny keeps saying, he's
yeah,
like, "But he's a big kid." He's honestly not that big. If you look at him, he's acting
no.
like I don't even know, like he's just some, like, super behemoth. He's a normal-looking 17-year-old kid that, like, kinda has muscles and would play football, but you would never look at him and
Mhm.
be like, "Oh my god, he's
Yeah.
huge." Like, he's
Like, I'm thinking
yeah.
like the
Yeah.
kid from The Blind Side or
Yeah,
something.
he's not like that at
No.
all,
Yeah.
so that's
Mm-mm.
why yeah.
Mm.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. But meanwhile, at school, Kelvin Reeves, and that's Don's son, he is smoking under the bleachers with one of his classmates. And she's a young black girl, and she is venting about the Rodney King situation, police brutality, and just how upset she is about all of it. And Kelvin kind of appears indifferent to her, and she calls him out on it. And I get the impression that his mother being a cop is probably very uncomfortable for him. And as a black teen, something he probably doesn't tell everybody. So he
Mhm.
doesn't even mention that his mom's a cop.
Mm.
But he
Yeah.
does admit that he has been mistreated by the police. But it kind of seems like he's making it up and he just wants to, like be
Mhm.
part of what she's talking about. So not really sure in that moment, but they kind of have this little moment. Elsewhere in Los Angeles, Dawn is called to a new crime scene. There is another mutilated body. People seem to not trust Dawn at all when she comes into this community. It's definitely like it's in the within the Black community, and they start calling her a pig and all these names, and we can tell that like they don't want her there. And while everybody's yelling at her, she kind of starts looking off to the side, and she sees this guy just staring at her, and he's kind of loitering nearby. And all of a sudden, his face turns into that weird, really wide grin, like almost from that Smile movie. And he's just
Ew.
smiling at her with this really macabre smile. And when she sees
Ugh.
that, yeah, she catches it and she starts to approach him and he bolts, takes off. So we get a really fast paced chase scene. She's chasing him through the neighborhood. People are still throwing things at her, yelling at her, pushing her downstairs. I mean, nobody wants her in the neighborhood, but she keeps chasing him anyway. Desperately, she kicks in a door and she ends up in his home, an apartment, and she doesn't have any backup with her, but she has her gun drawn. She's out. Eventually, she finds Curtis at his place, and his young son is in the room with him. He's holding him in his arms. He's got a baby, and he's saying that he ran because he was scared, not because he's guilty of anything. And she's trying to calm him down in this situation, but he's really struggling. And
This is
right
the
at this
guy with
time,
the
McKinney
smile?
yes, the smile
Okay.
guy.
Does she know
Yeah,
who he was? Or
no,
okay,
nope.
okay. I was
But
just checking.
the way he was looking at her made her
Mhm,
like start to approach him. And when he took off running, I mean,
mhm.
the police, if you take off running, the police are usually going to chase you because
Yeah.
you're acting like you're guilty.
And
Not
he
if
was
I
at the
see that
he was at the
smile.
crime scene and stuff, and it was just a
Not if
weird
I
vibe.
I'd be like,
Yeah.
"I know I'm a cop and all, but that smile, no thank you.
Yeah.
Somebody
Right.
else
Yeah.
can some other
Mhm.
agency can handle that one because I no."
I don't handle the smiles. Yeah.
Exactly. I don't do
Yeah.
this. I'm not in the smile department.
She never asks him why he was smiling at her. That topic, that might have been the first thing that I would have asked, but whatever,
Mm.
it's fine. Because McKinney shows up and immediately takes over and starts abusing his authority. He starts accusing Curtis of dealing drugs. He starts tearing up the house, smashing mirrors, windows, and even starts beating Curtis in front of his child. Dawn is begging him to stop, but McKinney won't back off until another Black officer enters the scene, the male one. And was this the one that she was flirting with in the first episode,
It
Kelly?
it might be. I'll have to go back and look. I might have missed. It might
I
be
think
because
it's the
I
same
think
guy because he
because it was a detective. Is he
comes
in a
up.
suit? Because the other guy was a detective too.
Yeah,
Okay, then yeah, it was
yeah,
probably him.
yeah. Okay. But, but we can see that McKinney wasn't willing to listen to Dawn, but he does back off when this other guy enters the room. So in a chilling side plot, this part is really upsetting, actually. We get to see Edmund again, Edmund Gaines, and he is now in the privacy of his own apartment, and he is experimenting with autoerotic asphyxiation.
Oh.
He has a bag over his head and he is like suffocating himself. And it's so weird because it's not doesn't seem sexual, but more weird because there's a frozen cartoon on the screen. And this is I think why I thought the cartoon thing, Kelly, because
Mhm.
often when they show him in his apartment, he does have cartoons on or some
Okay, that
childlike
makes
sort of
sense.
program. So yeah. But there is a frozen cartoon on the screen, which made it more weird for me seeing someone trying to, do
Mhm.
that with a cartoon on. Ugh. Anyway, um, we can tell there's some music playing in the background, and I immediately recognized it as Take My Breath Away from the film Top Gun
All
because it
right.
was one of my favorite movies back then in the 80s. But it's like a weird elevator-y style of the music. So it's kind of playing in the background. And all of a sudden, we start hearing a woman's voice say, hello, hello. And we realize he was on hold on a phone call and decided to like strangle himself. It
Oh
was so
my.
Ugh.
cold. I'm sorry, it's not funny, but something about describing it is funny. He takes the bag off his head and begins immediately arguing with this woman on the phone about that he's been requesting something. We don't really know what, some info. And he's talked to all these different people. He has notes, but she puts him off and says it'll be another 2 to 4 weeks.
So do we know
So that's
that's what he was doing, or was he just so tired of being on hold, he was like, I need a way out?
tell myself,
Yeah.
maybe, maybe. I mean, we don't know how long he was on hold for. It could have been a really long
Yeah,
time, but
right.
Yeah.
yeah. That part really did creep me out though. But later on, Rhonda, who works in the casting, the woman who brought her son, calls him to suggest he audition as a slasher villain. She smiles but undercuts him by saying he's too sweet for the role. Edmund actually seems pretty excited about it though. The idea of auditioning for something unconventional, but it does seem a little annoyed that she called him sweet. Like I get the impression he gets friend zoned a lot by women, and that's what he's picking
Mhm.
up there. Back at the Reeves household, Kelvin, her son, checks his room obsessively as if making sure nothing has been disturbed. His room is like military level clean. Like I have never seen a room this clean in my life, to be honest with you. Later that night, his grandmother, Athena, is startled when she sees Bernice's photograph among some of Don's case files. Something about Bernice shakes her deeply, though we don't really get to find out why. That evening, Dawn has a quiet moment with fellow officer Reggie. That's his name, by the way, Kelly. Reggie. I got the name in this part.
Yes. Mhm.
What kind of
Now,
photo did she see of her? Because if it was one of the crime scene photos, I could see why
no,
she'd
it
be
was just a
shaken.
regular, sorry, I should have mentioned
Okay.
that. It was just a regular,
Okay.
now, there were crime scene photos too, but the photo she's focusing on is just a regular picture
I
of
see.
Bernice. Yeah,
Okay.
sorry. I should have mentioned that because that's
That's okay.
important later. So that evening, Dawn has a quiet moment with her fellow officer Reggie. They're having a little like dinner together, romantic, which then honestly devolves into them having graphic pool sex. This part
Oh,
feels so
devolves.
unnecessary to me.
It did
And
kind of
honestly,
feel,
right?
out of nowhere and misplaced. It's like, I don't know that added anything, but okay. Yeah.
I mean, it's soft porn, and honestly, the only thing I was really worried about was Dawn's pH, but that's okay because hopefully she took matters into her own hands
Mhm.
afterwards. Don't have pool sex, girls. There's
No.
a lot of chemicals in there. It's not good
It's
for you.
not very enjoyable either, but
Mm-mm. Ugh. Anyway, back at Curtis's house, this is the guy who ran from Dawn earlier. He
Mhm.
retrieves a little stash of drugs he had hidden underneath the baby crib. So he pulls up the baseboard of the crib and
Hmm,
pulls out his crack supplies. So
that's a good spot for him.
unfortunately, yeah, unfortunately, he did have some nefarious things going on, but whatever. Either way, he starts cooking up some crack in the kitchen. And all of a sudden, while he's, working his little magic, he starts hearing cops banging on the door. First, he hears knocks, and then they start saying it's the police. And he immediately scrambles up to hide things, get rid of everything, flush stuff down the toilet. But once he runs and opens the door, no one is there. And at this point, he chillingly starts hearing his baby laughing in the next room. Like, even
Oh.
though
Mhm.
like he's laughing at somebody or something, and the scene turns sort of supernatural in this moment. He walks slowly back to the room where the baby's laughing, and then once he gets in there, we can't see anything, but we start to hear that cracking and that
Mm.
breaking and that grunting from Curtis, and we hear the
Ugh.
baby start crying.
Oh my
Yeah.
god. Oh, no. Now, I don't know if any of you have ever had this happen, but there are a lot of times when mainly happens when I'm, like, blow drying my hair. I have to turn my blow dryer off because I feel like I hear my kids call for me, and I
Well,
don't know if it's just the sound of, like, the hair dryer, like, echoing or something. There's something about it, but there have been several times where I've had to stop in the middle because I'm like, Who called for me?" And there's nobody calling for me. It's like I hear mom called, and it
no, me
totally
too.
freaks me out. Is it just
I
our weird
Huh.
brains?
Remind me to send you I posted this on, Reddit, that
Mhm.
exact scenario, Leah, and so
You
when
did?
remind me afterwards to send you, the link. It was
Okay.
just 2 weeks ago because that happens to me all the time, right?
Mhm.
And I'll go and look and nobody called me,
Yeah.
and, one of our friends was over with me the other night, Rachel, and we were sitting outside chatting, and I heard the mom, but I kind of ignored it because I figured it was just me hearing things as usual, and
Yeah.
Rachel was like, "Did you hear that?" And I was like, "Hear what?" And she's like, "Mom? Did someone call mom?" And I was like, "You heard it too?"
Really?
Yes. Yeah, it was
That's wild.
yeah,
I
Ooh,
did
yeah,
that's
have
it
it
really was
happen one
interesting.
time, and I kinda stopped to, like, answer back, and then I realized my son was not even home, and I was like,
home.
that
Yeah,
kinda creeped me out. But, I mean,
yeah,
I just always thought it was just you're so used to hearing it, it's just maybe, like, I don't know, some echo in your brain or something. I never really thought it was anything scary or creepy, but now that you say that, that kinda
yeah.
gave me goosebumps.
Sorry,
Huh.
I
It's
didn't mean to
okay.
scare you about it, but
No,
it
I liked it. It
absolutely
was
happens
fun.
to me too.
Fun
Now,
story.
does that ever happen to you or Allison or Kelly? Because you guys don't have kids, so I'm just
Right.
curious if that's
I've never heard the word
me.
mom. I've heard
No.
Mhm.
people, like, talking and then no one's there, but I've never heard
Oh.
mom specifically.
Mhm.
I've had
Hmm.
it would happen to me a lot
Mm-mm.
in college. It would be like,
Well, that's because things were happening in that house.
yeah, the thing
Right.
then
Mm.
it was something, it wasn't like other people talking to me. Like, I would think I would have full on conversations, but nobody was there.
Wow.
And then I was
Wow.
like, "Oh,
Wow. No one would call
did you
would
just
anyone
ask
call your
me?"
name?
Yeah, they would call my name and then ask me a
Okay.
question, but then I would go and ask and think, like, to me, who I thought I was talking to, they either weren't there or they were like, "No, I didn't say anything. I wasn't," or
Yeah.
they were in their room and, like,
Wow.
nothing had ever happened. But I would just
That's
answer questions for people, and Yeah,
Wow,
they
that's
weren't
That's why
actually
I
incredible.
there.
hate traveling with her.
Yeah,
So
We
that
need to
happens
do
a
a
lot.
whole episode on that.
It depends on
Yeah,
the
we do.
space I'm in, but I will hear people, like,
Hmm.
calling me or not, and a lot of times they don't say my name, they'll just start talking, and I'll just
Hmm.
start talking, and, like, if
Wow.
'cause it would be I'm on the computer working on something, so you don't turn around, you're just answering someone's question, but it
Mhm.
never happened, apparently.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, that's what the
no,
baby
I
is
Oh,
can't
like.
wow.
say that any of this has ever happened to me, and
Oh.
I'm starting to rethink our friendships now. Do I need to stay away? I don't know.
Oh.
Oh,
Well,
that's
that's what
great.
the baby, crying in the other room made me think of, was hearing
Yeah.
that, so
Mhm.
No, for sure, and I'm
yeah.
glad you mentioned that because now, like, we need to talk about this later, but
Yes, for
anyway,
sure.
I
Yeah.
guess we'll get back to the story, soon I
Okay.
digress. Um, okay, so baby crying, we hear the grunting and the cracking. The next scene, Curtis is found dead. In the most horrific way, his body is contorted and broken, and it's hidden inside that little cubby space where the drugs were hidden. So,
Oh.
the just like Bernice's death, he is kinda contorted and shoved into a really tiny space.
But the baby isn't there?
Um, no, the baby well, we come out of the room and Dawn is actually sitting on the couch talking to Curtis's mother now, who's holding the baby. The
Okay,
baby's okay. Don't worry.
okay.
Baby's fine. And she's devastated. She's sobbing. She's crying. And Dawn keeps trying to ask questions and say, could it have been this or that? And she keeps saying, no, it was the devil himself that must have done this. No human could be capable of that evil.
Wow.
So this is where we get that devil himself reference that is in the title. Back at the precinct, Dawn tries to connect the dots. We have two Black victims dead in bizarre, inhumane ways, Bernice and Curtis. Plus, we have Malcolm still under suspicion. She insists it's a serial killer or something worse, but Lieutenant, the one from Seinfeld, and McKinney dismiss her outright. They tell her to keep quiet, that they don't need panic spreading, that they already have enough, media attention with the Rodney King situation going on. But she's realizing there's a pattern. They only seriously investigate white victims, while cases involving Black victims get brushed aside. As she's walking through the precinct, she looks into a room and sees evidence of this kind of going on within the precinct. In this moment, she gets so angry that they keep trying to blame this 16-year-old boy who lives with Bernice. The lieutenant says that the money is all being thrown at the quote unquote King situation and refuses to bring on more scrutiny. That night, Dawn talks with Kelvin, who has been glued to the news about Rodney King now. So, ever since talking to his friend, he's basically watching the footage all the time, which a lot of people were back then. For the first time, she opens up about her past. She says that she too was brutalized by police as a teenager, which was what drove her to become a cop herself. She wanted to make sure racist shit didn't go down on her watch. Still, she feels trapped. Her bosses won't pursue the truth about the murders that she definitely feels like she knows in her bones. So she decides now to take matters into her own hands and goes into her room and she leaks a tip to the LA Weekly. She tells them that the killings will make headlines and that her name must stay out of it, but there is a possible serial killer in Los Angeles. The scene now cuts to one from the Arsenio Hall show. Do you guys remember
Oh,
Arsenio?
yeah. Woo,
Yep.
woo, woo,
Okay.
woo.
I didn't know if you were too yeah. I didn't know if you were too young to have watched Arsenio in the late night when during that time, but he was so popular. What a fun show he had too.
Mhm.
But the guest on the Arsenio show is actually Jason Voorhees. So Jason comes out dressed as Jason. The crowd's like yelling in delight as he walks around wearing his mask and carrying an axe. The show is on a TV in the Reeves home. So it starts to kind of like pan out from this television. And then we switch immediately to a scene over with Edmund in his apartment. So we do get a lot of this back and forth between the
Mhm.
Dawn story and the Edmund story. So
I
they're
feel like they
definitely
did that in
separate.
season 1 a lot too.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
A lot of
100%.
jumping back and forth.
So we now get the scene with Edmund. He's trying on all these costumes that he has in that big trunk. So underneath the doll, he has this array of fabulous costumes. So I mean, the scene starts off pretty comical because he comes out as like the Hulkster at first, and like the full Hulkster outfit with the mustache, and he's doing the brother and like
Oh
all
my
that stuff. Then he puts on a Cosby sweater and he does a full Cosby impression. And
oh
so
my
he's
gosh.
like trying on costumes, doing these impressions. It's quite funny.
Oh, how
And
the
then
mighty
all of a
had
sudden,
fallen. I'm thinking of these,
All these
people he's
90
dressing up
stars,
as.
yeah.
Yeah, and they all just
oh,
had these
wow.
awful scandals happen to them, like, later in
Mhm.
life. Ugh. Anyway,
Those were probably chosen on purpose now that you mention it. I'm sure
maybe.
that that wasn't an accident, that those were the two characters that they chose. All of a sudden, though, things get much darker when he comes out of the closet in one of his new costumes, but now it's like a BDSM gimp style mask.
Oh,
Like,
my.
yeah, like the one from Pulp Fiction that the guy
Mhm.
was wearing. And mask off now. He takes it off and he's looking at himself in the mirror in the bathroom and he starts smearing this black and red makeup all over his face. He's pulling weird faces and it's starting to get really creepy again. And just to make matters worse, he decides to take a woman's pantyhose and pull it over his face and he tightens it really tight in the back so that it warps his lips and his eyes and his nose. And it's genuinely terrifying already, but then he starts screaming at himself in the mirror at, like, as high as he can.
Mhm.
It's scary. It is now 3:15 and we're back at the Reeves home and the family clock freezes. The exact same time, maybe it was 3:17, I think
I think
Kelly
it was
said actually.
3:17, yeah.
Bernice's clock stopped. Okay, before her death. So Kelvin wakes up and he walks downstairs to find the TV on. It's glitching, but it's broadcasting yet another report about Rodney King. He goes over and he tries to turn the TV off, and when it won't turn off, he unplugs it. So as he leans down, he catches a glimpse of the reflection in the black mirror of the TV screen, and he can see someone standing behind him.
Oh
And
my
when he
god.
flips around, yeah, no one's there, of course, because you
Oh.
know how that goes in the movies.
Mhm.
He flips
Mhm.
around, nobody is there, and then the room kind of begins to warp, and there's like shadows, and his face starts to warp in the reflection, and it almost looks like, okay, do you guys remember? I don't know if you'll remember this or not. There were the Cabbage Patch dolls that were in like the regular stores that had the
Mhm.
plastic faces, but then there were those original Cabbage Patch dolls
Mhm.
that were
Like
made out of
material?
cloth. You guys
Yeah.
remember those?
Yes. And they had the yarn
Yeah.
hair.
Yes, 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 that's what his
Oh,
face
yeah,
looks like
okay.
turns into almost,
Oh
like a
my.
yarn-headed doll or something. It's really, really weird in that moment. So the line between haunting and reality almost seeming to start to blur, and it almost feels like Kelvin is being marked in some way because something weird's going on with Kelvin. We keep getting these weird glimpses of him. Edmund is now back at work. He is staring at the pig mask he's about to have to put on back like in the locker room where they get ready, and he's getting ready to become the character that he plays there. There's this really menacing music playing in the background, and while he's sitting there, he turns his head and we can see him eyeing the knives on the kitchen wall in the back. And in the final scene of this episode, Edmund, now fully unhinged, he dons his pig costume and walks slowly through the children's arcade, clutching a butcher knife. He's holding it up and he's just walking real slowly around. Patrons are screaming and scattering, and he's running. His boss approaches him in this moment and fires him immediately. He takes his head off. He's really apologetic. He's like, I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened. But the boss says he's calling the cops. And still gripping the knife, Edmund looks around the room as a single tear streams down from his eye. And with a facial expression that kind of transforms from sadness to this eerie joy, Welcome to the Jungle fires up and we fade into black as the lyrics
Oh my
begin.
gosh. Is he
It's
trying
a
to get
great
into
ending.
character or is something taking over
It's
We're
him?
like
not sure.
we're
I
not
think that's a good
Okay.
sure.
question. Yeah,
Yeah.
because maybe he's just trying to get into this character for the serial killer role that he wants to
Mhm.
try out for or
Mhm.
whatever, but it seems to be more than that
Now,
as you're
is
watching.
this pig mask like a cutesy pig?
Yeah,
Because
Yes.
okay.
cutesy.
Mhm.
Alright, because
Yeah,
most
he's
Yeah.
pig masks
smiling.
I think of are, like, realistic and terrifying, you
No,
know?
he's wearing like blue overalls and like
Okay.
a red and white striped
Like a
shirt, and
cartoon
he's got
pig.
this like
Yeah.
Peppa Pig kind of mask on,
I
sort of thing.
see.
Yeah. hmm
Oh, wow. Hmm.
And
Well,
that's the
that
end of
oh,
I
that's
was gonna mention these episodes are short. They're only like 30 to 45 minutes each, so I feel like anybody could blow through this
oh,
in one
wow.
Yeah,
weekend
I noticed.
probably.
I
I
thought
watched
about
it
that.
in a day the first
I was
time.
gonna say because I
Yeah.
remember season 1, some of them would be, like, right at an hour or, like, 55
Yeah.
minutes,
Like,
but
all
then as I was
different.
taking notes, I was like, "Why is this going so fast?"
Do you
Yeah.
Uh,
It's
like
much
that
shorter.
better? Like, that it's more succinct, or do
No,
you
it's fast.
prefer more of, like, a fleshed out, like, longer episode?
Mm. I don't I guess I don't really think about it because as long
Yeah.
as it just keeps telling the story, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I think this story has a faster pace than the first season had a slower pace to it,
Mhm.
and I don't know if
Mhm.
that was because of it took place in the 50s and or 60s, I'm
Hmm,
sorry, and we were supposed to kinda it was a slower paced life, and then
that
it's
makes
fast. I don't
sense.
know if that was a purposeful choice, but
Yeah.
it kinda would make sense in terms of because again, being inundated with all of that footage of that Rodney King stuff, it's always on the background in the TVs here,
Mhm.
so you
Now,
get that that's playing a
the
part.
the guy that filmed that, Was he like involved in any way like after it happened?
Uh,
Like
no,
as
other
far
than
as
handing like, getting the
yeah.
tape to the news. Other than that,
Oh,
we
okay.
just know his name, kinda like the Zapruder guy for Kennedy's
Yeah.
assassination. We just know the name, but they other than that, that's it. That's as far as
Gotcha.
their involvement went.
And I don't know if I've mentioned it in the show, but Luke James is incredible.
He's
Like,
really good. That's Edmund, right? Yeah.
yeah, because if you see he's hot. Like, I'm telling you what, I don't find him attractive at all in the show, but when I went and looked him up online and I saw pictures of him and he is gorgeous, first of all. And he's a singer, I think, right? Like, or some kind of
Oh, is
musical
he?
artist.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh
something like that,
yeah.
and he was brought to play this role, and I swear you throw a pair of those gold serial killer sunglasses on somebody, and they're immediately creepy, but he should have been nominated for this role, in my
He is
opinion.
pretty. Yeah.
Yeah, he does really
Mhm.
well because he is playing well, like, the question you asked, Leah, like, is something happening? 'Cause he's unhinged and intense, but you can't tell if he's just thinks he's playing a character, if something's really wrong with him, like, I don't know,
Hmm.
he just keeps you
Right.
guessing, like
Right. Like I
yeah.
guess in the context of the show, I would imagine something's getting to him or taking him over, but
Mhm.
I could see how maybe in a more realistic setting, he's thinking he's doing some sort of, what's it
Method
called?
acting.
Yeah,
Method
method
acting, yeah.
acting. So, I mean,
Mhm.
I don't know if that's the appropriate place to carry a butcher knife
Mhm.
in the crowd of children, but I mean, times were different. Times were
Yeah,
different then.
maybe
But in his
yeah, he had
mind,
to
it's
take advantage of
probably
what he had.
it makes sense in his mind, he's like, "But this is what this guy would do if I'm getting into the
Right.
role," so
Right, right,
yeah.
Mhm.
and maybe he's just so desperate to, like, nail an audition for it that, I could see
Mhm.
how I don't know. Hmm.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Hmm.
Yeah, thank you, Kristen.
Yeah, that was
You're
great.
welcome.
Thank you so
A good
much.
one. Yes, and we'll continue them. We'll be back next week with episode 3.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye.
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 Thanks. Bye.
For more information about our episodes, follow us on Instagram at Fear and Wine Pod. And if you have a fun discussion question that you'd like for us to answer on the podcast, send it to us at fearandwinepod@gmail.com.